Hey guys, Fusebox back on Raid Shadow Legends. We got to do it. This has to be done. We have to decide, is Pyxniel worth going for or not? So we're going to go through it. We're going to go through it all today. Now, one of the coolest looking champs in the game, and that's a big deal to me. I think it's cool, the time and effort they put into her. She was my first fusion champion that I completed. That was last Christmas. I finally pushed through it and went all the way. The only spoiler I'll give it, you need to stick through this video if you want to know, do you want to build her or not? You're going to have to make up your own mind. Quick spoiler, I think she's good. I do not think she's great. It strongly depends on what you need, where you need it. Let's look at what she does, how I have her built so you know what you're getting into. Real quick, her skills. All right, A1, it's a pretty decent hit, does solid damage, to be honest. It can place a 50% chance of placing a perfect veil if she's booked. We're going to talk about books in a minute. That's solid. It does place this on the ally with the lowest HP, so it protects them from being targeted by a single target, and it does mitigate AoE damage. It can definitely be clutch. She's a support champion. Let's remember what she is. Not an ice champion. She's a support champion. That's a decent A1. And with the damage she does is pretty solid for a support champion. Not for an attack champion, but for a support champion. We'll look at that. A2, excellent support move. If you take out the freeze mechanics, this puts up increased defense and the big version of continuous heal on your entire team for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. Solid as can be. If the enemies are frozen, she will attack them with this, with doing decent damage and place weaken, meaning that you can bring a defense down champion and her, and you're going to debuff the whole team by doing this move. Ice Barrage. 5 hits completely at random. Each hit has a 50% shot at freezing somebody. She's not a guaranteed freeze champion, but she can control the waves. It's kind of like Seal putting out her stuns. Anybody that gets hit twice by these 5 random hits will be frozen guaranteed, so that's cool. Then her passive. I think people get the misnomer that she is all about this passive. If you are looking for this passive to work miracles, you're going to be disappointed, but it is handy and useful. We will show that too. Whenever anybody on your team is frozen, she can steal that freeze. She has a 65% chance of doing that. Now, she can't take it off everybody, but somebody will be, the freeze is taken off of them, put onto herself. By doing that, she keeps them rolling, and she can shrug off any freeze she has. She basically cannot be frozen, so that is totally fine. 2 people on your team mitigate losing a turn, so she is good in that aspect. And then if she steals that freeze, again, RNG, 65% with books. 35, so you got a 50% shot of her gaining turn meter when she takes a freeze, meaning that she just gets to her turn faster because the freeze does not affect her. That's a good passive. Remember, it's just a passive. It's not guaranteed other than the fact that she can never be frozen, meaning she's good to bring against anybody who waves that throw out freezes, Torment, all those things that we're going to explore. Her aura is actually a pretty good resist aura for arena. If you're trying to build a high resist team, then you probably don't need her because you're not going to get frozen. But she does still bring support and decent damage and some control. We'll look at my masteries. She doesn't do enough damage to grant putting on Helm Smasher, so I went straight down for the offensive tree into War Master so she can do some work on bosses. She does have some places she's good at. I did take some damage. I did take Whirlwind of Death to speed her up because she actually can get some kills and increase her damage if she gets those kills. Not really important. Here, I do like Lasting Gifts. 3-turn cooldown. If any of them, the continuous heal or increased defense land for 3 turns, then it will be ready to go when she comes back around. Cycle of Magic, because her 4-turn cooldown on that Icicle Barrage, it's nice to get that back every now and then. Lore of Steel, because of the gear I have her in, which we will check out. And I do like Rapid Response. She puts up a lot of buffs. As they go off, she comes back around to her move. Otherwise, if you need accuracy, if you want to get extra A1s to plant extra damage and extra veils or more chances for veils, you could just go down the defensive tree, kind of a basic build into retribution, maybe even deterrence. And if you're really wanting damage, Opportunist is not bad, since she will either be paired with somebody who freezes or put some out herself. So let's look at I've got her in perception gear and speed gear. Really, it's all about the stats. Not everything's rolled up all the way, but she has good stats. What do I want? I want to be able to test everything in one foul swoop. We've got 300 accuracy. If she can land it, she will land it. We've got over 200 speed. She's going to be active in our team, getting turns. You saw that we have Masteries building her up. She has good base defense stats and good HP defense stats and speed as well. So go ahead and capitalize on that. Give her some defense. She is a support champion. Make her fast and tanky. But I didn't go crazy with the tanky on mine because I want to test her damage too. So I gave her reasonable attack, nothing crazy. I gave her a pretty decent chance to get crits. And when she crits, we do have 220% crit damage. Enough to at least see if her damage is notable. Not building her in a damage build. So we will be able to test everything she does with this build. She should stay alive pretty firmly. She will be keeping people alive on our team as our healer and as our increased defense champ. She will be able to control waves when there's not another freeze champion by freezing every now and then. And she will protect us against freezes. How good is she? Let's just get in here and test her out. There's going to be a lot to look at. I'm doing this so you don't have to do it because I'm going to tell you, her biggest problem is books. 18 books. And it feels like when they buffed her, let me show you this. One thing they should have done during the buff, it would have made people use her. I really believe this. They would at least give her a shot. When you're looking at these books, there's 18 books. You even have to book out her passive. Doesn't feel right. This could have been one book or no books. And in here, this 5 and 5% buff chance, debuff chance, they could have been combined into one. Maybe these deep damage deals could have been combined into one. Same here. Negating at least 2 here, 2 here, and at least 2 or 3 here, making this reasonable. This is great. This is fine if you combine 2 of these into one. And same with the A1. Combine 2 of these into one. And I think people would try her out. They would book her and play. So the first question you got, you need to watch this through. Is she worth booking? Now, I will say I played with her for a while without books, and she can still pull all of this off. Unfortunately, these two are very important. In my opinion, they need to be booked. So getting this skill booked could mean you got to go all the way. You know how it is. So I've been sneaking books into her every CBC. When I finish somebody, I throw my leftover books into her. It took forever, and I did not like it. But now we get to reap the rewards or find out now. I'm doing the work for you. Maybe you don't want to build her. So here we go. We're going to go into a very non-invasive. We're going to not bring any other support. We're just going to go to stage 20. Nothing fancy going on in the dragon. We don't even care about the dragon, but in case it goes quick enough, we're going to bring Frozen Banshee to beat him. The only heals I do have lifesteal gear on Tyrell. He's here to break defense. I do have built-in lifesteal on Pitiless One. He does his own little bit of lifesteal mechanic, and that's it. All the heals other than that are coming from her continuous heals and her defense up. We could go with the crit, but we're just going to take the defensive aura. Let's just get in here. I don't want to ×1 this much, but we'll start it out on ×1 because there's a lot to look at. So here we go. Pixniel, the first thing she does is increase your defense, put on that continuous heal. Now, if you bring somebody who freezes, they need to go first so that you can get the freeze out, and then she gets weakened and an attack with that move. So we're going to start watching her damage here. We're going to speed this up a little bit. She's up here on the far left. We want to see what she can do as a support champion. We didn't get the crit. I should have put the crit aura up, but that's fine. She's going to take plenty of moves in here. So there we go. Defense up, continuous heal. You see we have a veil on our weakest hero. It just wore off, but that veil right there, we put it on Frozen Banshee again. She will pretty consistently keep a veil protecting that hero. Frozen Banshee moves pretty fast on this team, so she's going to wear through that veil, but it will protect her if it comes in at the right time. Damage, like here we go. So A1, solid damage, right? Then we got, let's get back around. With that 3-turn cooldown, we're going to see that buff's going up a lot, but next move might be Icicle Barrage. Here we go. Oh, after him. So now another A1. No crit on that one. I should have just went ahead and found the crit rate. Not that I was being lazy, but I was trying to put her in a damage build with all that accuracy and speed. You know, kind of rough for a support champion. But here we go. Icicle Barrage, no. When it happens on a single target, it actually does a ton of damage. So we're just going to let this race through because she actually can do some work on the boss too. That continuous, or the perfect veil went up on Pitiless one that time because he had lower HP. It's definitely cool how it targets the lowest HP. So Frozen Banshee's the star here. We did get a War Master proc, but she's only hitting for about 10,000, which is fair considering Two Hawk is built pretty well and only got 10,000. Pitiless one can actually do in-game damage. I have his gear in a mess right now. He's in a damage build, but it's not real strong. I've stolen some of his gear, but he actually does some serious top-notch damage. So we'll be able to compare. She won't keep up with these guys on damage, but it's notable what she can do. I knew I should have put the crit rate aura in front. So here, all we're getting out of her is continuous heals as our only real source of healing. We're clearly going to win this. We've already got enough poisons out to finish this whole fight. So we're just going to race through this. I'll even come back and, I'll come back in 1 second. Okay, we're about to finish this up. Just shaving some time because there's a lot to go over. But that's enough poisons when the dragon takes a turn. We're out of here. We can look at what she did on healing and on damage. So there you go. Damage, notable. Keeping up with a Tyrell for a support champion. Heals, pretty much she kept us alive during that fight. Aside from some healing mechanics on two of my heroes, she did a good job of keeping us alive on a stage 20 dungeon anyway. So there you go. Baseline, like okay support type damage, decent protection for your team. And when you account for that veil, it's actually pretty solid for a support champion. So now, the ice thing. We're not going to go through the whole fight, but I'm going to reset a team real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, we're going to pair her up with the ice champion, show how she can debuff, and set up your nuker for a team. We're going to do this on manual and kind of watch it play out to make sure everything goes the way we want it to, just to show how she brings even more when you pair her up with the right heroes. So we want to put up a freeze. Hopefully this will land on most. All very good. Now, when she buffs your team, she also gets a hit. She puts up weaken on everybody, so you can't really beat that move in its totality. That's amazing. We want to break their defense because we already have weaken up, and then we want to nuke them with our Trunda. So she sets your team up. Did I use the right move? It doesn't matter. You see how she can set up your team, get you through it pretty quickly, pretty safely when you pair her up with somebody. And then let's watch her Icicle Barrage. It'll finish these people off. But that's a lot of hits, 5 random hits. The fewer people on the field, the better it does. So she's pretty solid. She's pretty solid on damage. We're not going to sit through anymore because there's too much to look at. But just on that first wave, obviously Trunda took the big hit. Pitiless one's pretty strong. Again, she's not going to outmatch your damage dealers, but she's going to do solid damage. Like she's a piece of the team, right? I think her support is actually strong. Let's get that. That's what I've already taken away. She can help keep your team alive. If you're on stage 25, you'll probably need extra support, like Seal of the Drakes, so you have that pocket revive and extra heals each turn. But increasing defense is solid. If you didn't get Iron Brago, she could be your ticket to increasing that defense pretty consistently. So let's see if I can find a Torment. Let me get in here and try to find a Torment and set it up. There's usually not one. Let's see if we get lucky. I've already killed one team. Let's see. There. Okay, here we go. I can't beat that team. We'll try it. We'll try it just to see the ice mechanics. Let me set something up real quick. Let's get in here and okay, we're gonna get destroyed, but we will see. We will hopefully see that team power. I just know they've got high resistance as well as high speed. We'll probably beat here. Okay, well, good. We won the speed fight. The first thing we're going to see is when somebody let's put this on ×1. If somebody takes a freeze, will she steal it? It looks like she took the freeze. It's hard to tell when she steals it off somebody. If she did steal it, then I guarantee you she just kept the rest of my team ready to go, and she will not take that freeze. So let's hope we can freeze them. They're probably high resistance. Not too bad. We froze 2. We'll take that. So here goes Rotos. Okay. Now we want to plant some bombs. That is our win condition, planting some bombs. We did get it on the Reviver and Miscreated Monster. Now here we can go ahead and kill Miscreated likely when we buff ourselves up, or we could take random hits. You can control at least one and try to freeze somebody, maybe even finish off Rotos because he is their win condition. I'm going to actually, let's see if we get enough damage to kill Rotos there. Oh, he's not frozen. That's right. Not frozen. Sorry. All right, let's try to wipe that block debuffs because we can't freeze him anyway. We did wipe that out. So look, apparently we stole that freeze, or she is very unlucky and taking the freeze for us. But it appears she's doing her job against my the Torment. So it's hard to deny that it's nice to have her on your team. My win condition doesn't matter if I don't need a debuffer because I'm using bombs. If you needed a debuffer, I like combining her with somebody who could freeze to get more out of her. But now our defense is up to keep us alive. Let's go ahead and get rid of Rotos. That's their win condition. He's gone. Now we can just auto. We can full auto and deal with this. She didn't steal that one. See, I took a freeze there, but it doesn't affect me at all. He's obviously in frost armor. He's freezing ninja. I do not know if she can remove a freeze while she's frozen, but look at, that's not bad damage, right? You saw 5 hits at about 5,000 apiece. That's 25,000 damage she threw out as a support champion and places a perfect veil when she does it most of the time. So where are we so far with Pyxniel? She looks amazing. She is a good support champion. She does notable damage for a support champion. She's decent in the arena, but only in those circumstances. If you're already at the point where you have good immunity gear, high resistance teams, you don't need her for that. But if you don't have that, you can get support out of her as well as a pretty decent arena champion against those frost teams. If you know you're up against frost armor, if you know that you're up against somebody who can freeze you when you increase turn meter, or just somebody like Luria who can throw out a freeze, you bring her along and at least keep 2 people, her and another, likely going through that battle. So she does do her job. She just needs a lot of books to do it, right? So one more thing that we might as well explore. I know this is going a little bit long, so I will get into the Frost Spider. Today I will be getting to the level 40 on hard, but for now we're going to take her in here. We do still need HP burns. I like having a freeze champion again because he can freeze the side adds, and then while they're burning to death, she can actually get a hit and put weaken on them. Otherwise, I am going to bring, to make this quick, I'm going to bring Herndig. I'm going to bring Seal the Drakes for a little bit of extra heals because I between her and Pyxniel, I will be fine on heals. Pyxniel does a great job of keeping me healed up. So I'll come back on the boss in a minute. It's worth mentioning there is actually a Torment here, and she's already protected me quite a bit on this second wave. So that's pretty cool. So enjoy this. I'll mark every time she saves at least one hero from their being frozen. Okay, so she did her job. There were some misses, but she did a good job of taking freezes off of, at least I saw some clutch ones off of Seal. I saw some good ones off of Ninja. Every time she does that, somebody else gets a move. Being able to keep up that HP burn, take more damage, heal me up. On her damage, we did 1 point, almost 7 million. I mean, almost as much as Herndig throughout that whole fight. That's pretty impressive. I mean, Grawl and Ninja are ridiculous on their damage. That's great. But her heals, you know, I have Seal of the Drakes, but they're the only two sources of heals I had. And it was a pretty solid, safe run. She's not bad. Let's just go over her now. What do we get out of all this? We've tried her. What do we get with Pixniel? Man, all right. I'll try to make her sound. Let's look at the good. Let's look at the bad. You know, I mean, first of all, amazing looking champion. These little glaives she has, they're sick. That armor is amazing. I promise she is great in Faction Wars. The day I built her out, I beat my High Elves Faction Wars. That was, of course, last Christmas. But she is good in Faction Wars. She is good in Arena, but only in certain circumstances. If you're trying to get Weaken out, though, Weaken can sometimes be more important than defense down, especially in the case of using Lord Shazar. In my case, I actually could break Weaken instead of breaking defense, giving me 25% more damage by freezing them, putting out Weaken with a hit, and then Lord Shazar gets a big hit on top of that Weaken and places his bombs. It would be really hard if I did them in that order for them to actually survive anything that I throw at them. So she's got a place in Arena. Can she protect you from Torment? Absolutely. Can she fail you on Torment? Absolutely. Her books. So her books, it's too many books. I think the buff should have at least included less books. She is not amazing. That's where I'm at. She's not super amazing. The further along you are, the less you probably need her. But she is good. And I will say this, if you get her early on, like one of your first few legendaries, instead of being sad about it, build her out. Build her out even if you don't have books, because you'll at least get some amazing things. Now, the biggest problem with books is if you could hit these two, you'd be in good shape. You'd be in very good shape to go ahead and use her. But on the way to hitting those two, how many might you have to wait through? You know what I mean? Increasing these is not bad, but the first few on these, that's why I'm doing this video. You're going to have to make up your own mind. We saw without any edits, I did, of course I edited for time, but everything was live action. She definitely didn't let me down against several Torments in Arena and in Waves. She saved me on plenty of moves, at least shortened my time on the Frostbiter. I would assume it shortened my time. That's the problem. If you're at a place where you have more powerful heroes that could take her place, then probably you don't need her. But if you have her early game, even without the books, she could be of use. Honestly, she's an enigma, right? Here you go. If you've got her and you need a high elf for any reason, Faction Wars, Secret Rooms, build her to 660. She's worth that. She is worth that. Don't do it until you need that high elf. If you've got better champions, build them out. But she is worth building out. The books, that's what this video is about. You'll have to decide, do you need that? Do you not have immunity gear or high resistance builds? Will it help you? Even if it's RNG, maybe that second go round, she'll save you at clutch moments, get you through something that freezes you. So if you're struggling on anything that freezes you, Ice Golem, she can help there. I don't have time to run her through it, but I have taken her through. The Frostbiter, there are more consistent freezes, so she's probably much better on Frostbiter. And in the Arena, do you just ignore Torments? Maybe she's something that will change your mind on ignoring them. She can fail you. Remember, she can fail you. Even with books, she can fail you. That was the whole point of me doing this. It was really hard for me to book her out. And I admit, it would be really hard, even after seeing how many things are good about her, to put 18 legendary books back into her. It took many CVCs of me sneaking a few books into her. So I did all this so you can come to your own conclusions. All I ask is that you let me know what your conclusions are down in the comments, because it is a very tough call. But she can be done. Now, let me tell you, I normally do a very average person's build. I didn't roll everything up all the way, but I did use pretty good gear. The reason this time I'm using pretty decent gear is because I needed to be able to do more than one test, but all at the same time. I needed to put a damage build on her, but still make her fast, tanky. Accuracy, speed, and whatever tankiness you can give her are far more important than damage, but it is nice to know that she does reputable damage for a, I mean, there are even some that are better, but kind of like, I was pleasantly surprised with Grunch Killjoy. He does amazing damage for this oddball champion he is, like better than Pixniel, to be honest. But she does the kind of damage that counts. It adds up in the end. She actually was a part of my damage team, as well as my secondary healer on the spider and main healer in dungeons. So let me know, what conclusions you come to out of this. Clearly, I don't think anybody would argue it is too many books. Plarium, you already know that people are not thrilled with the buff you gave her. Drop the books and I think people will use her. I mean, probably a dramatic drop. I mean, if she was like more like 10 books, people would definitely go ahead and invest in her. She is worth that. I think the biggest problem is the amount of books it takes. But again, if you get lucky and land them in the right spot, you'll get a lot of use out of her. Even without books, you'll get some use out of her. So if you need a high elf, I think she's good. She definitely is at least good in everywhere we took her. Sometimes with some RNG, she is great, but she'll never be great until that RNG is gone, or it's at least worth the gamble of putting the books into her. Let me know, please, what you think. Thank you for your support. And as always, I hope you enjoy the grind.